Listen to the Malian Transitional Prime Minister Choguel Kokalla Maïga clarify on rumors that the transition has been indefinitely extended and presidential elections postponed by General Assimi Goita, whose term ought to have come to an end on March 26, 2024, going by the June 6, 2022 decree that he signed and set the end of the transition at 24 months. This is a speech that the Prime Minister delivered on the Saturday of November 16, 2024, as he presided over the one-year commemoration of the liberation of Kidal by the Malian forces, after the chasing away of the French-led foreign troops that were in reality doing nothing to restore peace in the Sahel country. This is a message addressed to all Malians and Malians who want us to build Mali, believe whatever their positions before August 18, 2020. Mali is called to move forward, and at each period of history, there are priorities. Yesterday, it was to stop a process of partition of Mali. Today, it is about making the sacred union of all Malians who are in the logic of change for the refoundation of Mali, and that it mobilizes us Malians around the armed and security forces of Mali. Because these forces had the feeling for a moment that our people, for various reasons of order, had turned away from it. They have pulled themselves together despite the difficulties. They have restored to Malians their dignity, their honor, and today, we have the duty to stop as one man and support them. Whatever I say our political position before August 18, 2020, the great peoples are the peoples who know how to turn pages and write new pages according to the historical interests of our people. What I am going to say, I would like to solemnly say that in the near future, in view of the new political situation, we will take new initiatives towards all those who have Mali as their concern. Whatever I say, well, their political position before August 18th. Besides all the regimes that have passed in Mali that did not participate, it does not exist at every moment of history. It is for the leaders to have a clear idea of the priorities of the moment, to have a great capacity for discernment so as not to confuse speed and haste. The speech that I am going to make today is in fact only less than 10% of what they wanted to say. But as I said, there will soon be political initiatives, because we have a mission, the M5 RFP. The Malians are on a historic mission. We do not have the right to betray this mission, we must assume it. Dear Malian compatriots and Malians from the interior and the diaspora, I would like to salute in a special way, I will say, the Malians of the diaspora, for their contribution to change. You know, change is in the minds. First, Malians from the outside have worked so that the spirit of Malians, even those who were sleeping, wake up through the messages. I would like to salute them here. Ladies and gentlemen, let me stand and greet your massive presence here. I would like to remind you that the M5 RFP is certainly a political movement, but it is first and foremost a spirit of change for the rebuilding of Mali, a spirit for Mali. Today's meeting was the subject of an announcement on my part a few weeks ago, the announcement which fueled very malicious speculations. This did not surprise me, it is rather the opposite that would have surprised me. It is common knowledge that for some, all those who emanate from the Prime Minister, Head of Government and President of the Strategic Committee of the M5 RFP are not worth taking into account. However, from the outset of the Games, I should like to clarify that this afternoon's meeting is neither fortuitous nor just another meeting. Our presence in these places, your presence in these places at these times, is explained by a triple requirement. The commemoration of Year 1 of the liberation of Kidal on November 14, 2024. 2. The urgent need for clarification of the political situation in Mali today. You now know that in Bamako it seems that as soon as you want to look for someone, they ask you that you have to clarify your position. And thirdly, the formulation of proposals for a reorientation of the transition. This is why my intervention will be devoted to the development of 3 centers of interest. The first, inspired by the congregation, it is about the recovery of the city of Kidal by our armed forces of security troops.
De la récupération de la ville de Kidal par nos vaillantes forces armées de sécurité. En ces heures consacrées aux souvenirs.
In these hours devoted to memories, I must recall with force and legitimate pride to rejoice and congratulate myself.
La date du 14 novembre 2023.
The date of November 14, 2023, a memorable date in more than one way, because it's a date of liberation of the capital of the 8th administrative region of Mali. It would not be excessive to argue that this date marks not only the liberation of a Malian locality from neo-colonialism and traitorous supporters of the nation, but also the unification of the homeland Mali that the enemy had managed to break for 3 decades. So therefore, on liberation, to better understand the scope of the act, I will situate myself in time to evoke this recovery. Highlight what remains forever an official scar in France's wound. France, through its army, arrives in the Kidal region at the beginning of the 20th century. Previously, our people, the Tuareg confederations of the Niger Club of the Adra and of Azawak, they resisted the colonizers. Thanks to the fierce resistance of the people, making for the moment death, the dust in number of officers, non-commissioned officers and men of the rank. And in January 2012, 500 stateless persons manipulated by foreign powers, supported by terrorist hordes and drug traffickers, invade the base, the sacred soil of our homeland. In less than a few months, the Malian state collapses, it loses more than 3/4 of its territory. The situation presents itself as an unexpected windfall for France. Taking advantage of the more than pronounced decay of the state, he inquires Kidal. He gathers the terrorists and separatists from all over Kabylie and forces us to negotiate with them. So for 3 decades Kidal and its dependencies escaped the control of the central state of Mali.
échappe au contrôle de l'État central du Mali. Plus d'une humiliation.
More than one humiliation was imposed on the Malian authorities.
Son accès interdit aux farmers.
Its access is forbidden to the farmer. On the other hand, the foreign forces under the aegis of the UN, in reality under the aegis of France, they serve as a shield for the terrorists.
The
The consequences, Mali was lost. And ladies and gentlemen, you saw the horror was reached on May 17, 2014, where 150 of our compatriots, including 8 soldiers, 6 members of the command, are killed. The president pays the price of such a reckless action. Malians are coldly assassinated. Official France sitting on the massacre does not intervene at all to prevent it. Even the weapons recovered from the elements of the farmer who took refuge in the premises of the ammunition on the occasion of certain events are declared spoils of war belonging to the CEMA. Where is Minke? Is it the 17th of May 2014? Yes, Malians, that we are to ourselves. Is it France Operation Serval that allowed France to regain a foothold in Kidal? No, not Operation Serval. When they came, the commander of Serval underwent the same route as the French soldiers in 1878 to 1916. The same route. Do you know that the first soldier who left Mopti to go and colonize Timbuktu, in the December 1878 operation? It's 2013, but France follows an old route it used 120 years before. Ladies and gentlemen, official France has never really understood the world since the end of the Second World War. It still believes itself to be in the aftermath of the Berlin Conference of November 15, 1884 to February 26, 1885. When showing magnanimity towards it after the spanking it suffered and influence that it inflicted on its teeth on September 1, 1948, Bismarck, the leader of Germany, recognized the possibility of compensating for the loss of Alsace-Lorraine. Ladies and gentlemen, ultimately from 30th March 2012 to 14th November 2023, the situation of Kidal was like a country within a country, and that is why following the rectification of the transition the authorities joined hands.
Qu'à la suite de la rectification de la transition, les autorités se sont donné la main. La partition programmée du Mali.
The planned partition of Mali in Yadjo. Passing all the negotiations that there were had only one goal: to make us turn for 20, 30, 40 years so that an entire generation disappears from the earth. But French colonization has the same objective: to subjugate and divide our people. While in Europe they make groups, while they do not leave Corsica, New Caledonia, while in Europe when a country wants to divide in Spain, everyone comes together. They want to be a large geographical space. The same people are making divisive policies to have small ethnic principalities in Africa, small states that they will colonize. That was the goal. They came to create problems with little gloves. At the beginning, the international forces did not have the goal of going to the center of Mali. They created terrorism in the center of Mali between the peoples in order to find the pretext to arrive. They have spread terrorism in Africa and everywhere. Of his ideas. So that is it. Ladies and gentlemen, I have not clarified since I took office as Prime Minister. I have focused my efforts on a political aspect to be carried out that seemed fundamental to me. The creation of political conditions to prepare and keep the national assignments of the refoundation. The objective was to bring together Malians, all Malians, the M5 RFP, the representatives of the farmer and all the other political and social forces in order to define together a new roadmap, a new orientation, and to set by common agreement the priorities for the future of Mali. This has been done, and I would like here to salute Minister Ibrahim, the Minister of Refoundation. And all the executives and all the teams that were around him, they were the ones who made the workers to draw up a new roadmap for the transition. Do you know that I had to put pressure on him? He didn't want to join the government, and I said it, but we talked about rebuilding together, and if you don't go, who will explain the rebuilding? I am the Prime Minister. My role is to coordinate government action. But who is going to explain the refoundation everywhere? You have to come. If you come too, there are no other ministries, it's the refoundation. He came, and today everyone is talking about the national foundations of the refoundation. All the authorities, I would like to greet them here, to smear ladies and gentlemen, all those who accompanied us for the success of the foundations. I want to speak here of the High Islamic Council, the Catholic clergy, the Protestant Church, and of course the venerated Sheriff de Niro. This last message, sir, bless the foundations. He came here. He was sick. I went to his house. He took a plane, he came. He blessed the conference. When the conference was over, he went back home. He told us here to stay united, that if you stay united, Mali will be very good. And it is to achieve this that I am speaking to you today. The objective of today's conference is to ensure that everyone understands where there are mistakes. We must pull ourselves together. Malians will never accept, I repeat, never, that what they have fought against goes back. That is why, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to pay a special and well-deserved tribute to the Malian diaspora, to all the influences and social networks and various media for their invaluable contribution, their mobilization for the advent and success of the Malian transition of the rebuilding, and Mali believes. If you have noticed, no one in Mali has ever attacked foreigners. While there are countries where they burn stations, they burn all foreigners, they attack. In Mali, this has never happened. I would like to congratulate you for that. We fought a fair fight because the people are all friends. The French who are in Mali are not our enemies. We have thousands of Malians in France. This is the policy of the governments that we reject, that we refuse. This is neo-colonial policy, arrogance, contempt, disrespect for African leaders. In Mali, it is over. Ladies and gentlemen, this is why Mali had become a reference everywhere in Africa. Everywhere in the world, all progressive countries, all peoples who love sovereignty, independence, dignity and mutual respect, are proud of Mali. But for this, the M5 has structured its demands in very clear points so that there is no error and deception on the merchandise. In business, it is often done. You know that in politics, people come, make a speech, but once they are in power, they do something else. The M5 wrote what he wanted, so the one who comes to scheme, who mixed it up. Note that when you are going to summarize them, these 5 main points, the 10 points, 17 measures, I summarize security. Malians wanted security, the fight against corruption and impunity, political and institutional reforms, the intelligent application of the agreement for the call for reconciliation resulting from the Procurarian. So and then the conclusion of the impact of solidarity and growth. Because we were sure that for us not to be able to fight there had to be social peace. And that is why since we took the road there has been a lot of success that you know. I do not want to go over everything again because it will bore you, you can read it. We were the first in 2021, in 2022, we were alone. Mali alone against all, against the international community, against ECOWAS which was at the service of foreign powers, against some certain political class in Mali. But we held in the end the popular mobilization of Malians by the representatives of the armed forces of security, so that the concern of Africans to take charge which has fled for years. We have broken the glass ceiling. The path of freedom of political and patriotic decision has been shown by you to all African countries. And the changes of regime have begun to follow one another. Today, we have the AES. Before, there was no AES. Mali was alone, but our brothers from Niger and Burkina came to join us. But ladies and gentlemen, this is what I must say, for all this to happen, there are Malians who have given their lives here in Bamako, there are soldiers who have died at the front, there are civilians who have died in Bamako, and the army came to complete this fight. But today what I hear, people say yes, everything is done by the army. The army is a component of society. When Malians, Africans understood that nothing can be the same as before, the soldiers of Burkina Faso rose up, they freed their people. There were 2 of us, we continued. Then the Niger military rose up, they freed their people. Then, other Africans that I don't want to name, rose up too and we started to have regime changes. Everyone wants to have autonomy of decision. People were tired of this semblance of democracy, under the cover of democracy. In reality it was colonization that wanted to return. When all that was imposed on the whole world, what did we witness in Mali? You recall here that we freely set the 26th of March 2022, the end of the transition at 24 months by a decree of June 6, 2022. So the transition is supposed to end on March 26, 2024. But it was unilaterally postponed without debate within the government. Can you imagine that? I learned in the media that the transition has been postponed. Well, I signed the decree that puts the matter at 2024. But we have what is called strategic patience. Because we said that while Malians are killing themselves at the front to liberate our country, we forbid ourselves from entering into political debates in Bamako. We had asked the refoundation assignments that there be a single body for the elections. The people met to define what is needed in this body. Do you know that the law that the people approved, that we passed to the Prime Minister without touching, it was the opponents who came to modify and made a deal behind the back of the M5.
Ce sont les opposants qui sont venus modifier, faire un marché dans le dos du M5. Moi, j'ai passé de mauvais jours au M5.
I had bad days at the M5, but I explained to the comrade of the M5 about patience, patience, patience.
L'armée malienne est en train de se battre.
The Malian army is fighting. Let's learn to be patient.
Nous n'avions pas de pays.
We didn't have a country.
L'armée est en train de nous
The
donner
army
un
is
pays.
giving us a country.
Ne nous battons
Let's
pas
not
autour des
fight
questions
over political
politiques.
issues. While we don't have a country,
Ceux qui étaient avant nous, ils faisaient ce qu'ils voulaient
those who
avec
were
les
before
lois.
us, they did what they wanted with the laws, but they lost Mali. Let's honor our army.
Interdisons-nous des polémiques politiques.
Let's ban ourselves from political polemics. But you know very well that it is not normal in a government. The Prime Minister of a government cannot learn from the media that the elections are postponed without debate within the government. You can ask all the ministers, there has never been a debate in the government. It was on TV that the ministers learned that the elections were postponed. There again, I told the guys from M5 that patience.
Là encore, j'ai dit aux gens du M5, patience. Attendez.
Wait, the important thing is to have a country. Do you know that this patience some have understood that it is weakness? These people do not understand. These people are not afraid. These are opportunistic people, but they have not understood anything. We are used to fighting politically for 50 years. We have the capacity of discernment towards fear between the essential and the accessory. The main thing is to help the Malian armed forces to find a country. In the meantime, there are some who are in political games in Bamako to mix up everything that the people have asked for. That is why, ladies and gentlemen, look at a clue. Today all those who speak to you tell you that it is to apply the resolutions of the conferences, the constitution, the mining code, everything that is done in Mali. But can you imagine something that will surprise you? The national conferences of the refoundation have asked to reduce the number of political parties. 200 parties in a population of 22 million. From 1991 to 2021, in 30 years, there were 200 parties. Do you know when 2021 and 2022, after the assizes, 100 parties were picked, they were given to 100 parties. Why do it? There again I told the comrades of the M5, patience, patience. Today it is the leaders of some of these parties that you see on TV threatening the M5. You forbid them from demonstrations, insulting the Premier in the media. On TV, there are enough specialized ones. It seems that when you insult him, the next day you are rewarded. Ladies and gentlemen, we cannot continue this. But I told you what seems important to me is what I told you when we became Prime Ministers. I told the M5 that we must never accept that a leader draws up plans for the end of the transition before I discuss it with the President of the Transition and his companions. I maintain this until today. Unfortunately, while we wait for this, and I urge that the armed security forces are engaged on the ground so that they are not disturbed by political debates in the capital, as was the case in 2012. You remember in 2012 when there was war, there were politicians in Bamako who were fighting for power. Others even said that the military should not fight. We had said that we should never do that in Mali. Those are my two recommendations to the M5. No one should talk about the end of the transition before I discuss it with the President and his companions. Secondly, our army must be supported. We have forbidden political debates. Unfortunately, here, there are people who have confused this with weakness. They have understood that we do not understand anything. There are dissidences that are created in the M5, of which we have proof today, that some were aroused to divide the movements, to make the euro disappear from the history of Mali. For what reason? Why? Who has an interest today in taking us back? Who has an interest in coming out in the media to say that the first opponent of the transition is the Prime Minister, and they are in a regime, they are paid, it is not acceptable. And in any case, I said, and I repeat, Mali will have the existence. Of course, all of us tomorrow we will all disappear, but Mali will remain. So there is no point in entering into this calculation.
Donc c'est pas la peine de rentrer dans ces calculs. Et j'ai dit que ce qui arrive au Mali.
And I said that what is happening in Mali is like the fable that speaks of the lion and two bulls. The lion comes, he sees two bulls fighting, he separates them. First there is a bull who says that he is stronger, that there is no other. He leaves when he finishes eliminating the first one, he then regroups against the second one. This is what is happening today. And that is why I said that there is confusion, and confusion is hanging over the Malian transition. We cannot accept, the people will not accept that this continues. The EMC will not accept it. We can be patient, but this patience has its limits, and that is why I am ending. I have already urged on this. Let us be united like a block of granite in order to make the transition process irreversible. The second thing is that the one whom God has placed at the head of Mali must be respected. In any country where we do not respect the first leaders, it is not a good sign. We can fight a system but not attack an individual. I told the M5 that we must forbid ourselves, the one that good has made, that today he is the eldest without being the oldest, to paraphrase a former president. He has the right to the consideration and respect of all Malians. If we do not agree with him, we create the space to discuss. For 2 years I have been asking the military that we must sit down to discuss what will become of the transition at the end. For 2 years, instead of having this discussion that I blocked at the M5, they have created dissidences, they are setting up people, they are recovering old parties, they are creating 100 political parties in 2 years, while the foundations have forbidden the creation of parties. But we are not children, we have been patient. Ladies and gentlemen, I also told you, I quote the last points on which I wanted to insist. I told you that the armed security forces of Mali must be loved, respected, supported. No political debate should lead us to mix goats and cabbages. Malians have recovered the dignity. We have recovered our country thanks to the efforts of the armed security forces. So we must love them, we must sanctify them, we must support them. The fourth thing is that we must not lie to win. We must always tell the truth to the people. Whoever lies, history will catch up with him. So don't lie about anyone. Everything you say must have proof. I say this to many young people who are in the media. I spent 50 years in the opposition, but I never say something for which I don't have proof. Everything I tell you here has proof. But we want to move forward, we want you to understand certain things and for this to stop. I had to insist on foreign secret service agents who infiltrated the transition. I drew the attention of the authorities to this, but what I see, they are received, they create movements, they take photos throughout the country, all the way to Kidal. While in Kidal, we caught NGOs that were used as camouflage to finance terrorist movements.
de camouflage pour financer les mouvements terroristes. Ces agents doubles,
These double agents, these new ones of the transition, I denounce them. We must be careful because the role is to divide the Prime Minister and the M5 and the representatives of the armed security
c'est de
forces.
diviser le Premier ministre et le M5 et les représentants des forces armées de sécurité. Lorsqu'ils ont réussi leur mission, ils
When
vont
they
se
have
retourner
succeeded in their
contre
mission,
nous.
they will turn against
Soyez
us.
donc vigilants.
So be vigilant.
Et enfin,
And finally, I said that we must love
il faut aimer
Mali.
le Mali. Vous savez, dans les grandes nations,
You go to the great nations right, left, center, that's in the political debate. When the nation is in mortal danger,
lorsque la
everyone
nation est en
joins
danger
hands.
de mort, tout le monde se donne la main. Donc aujourd'hui,
So today everyone must join hands and love Mali. That's why I said whatever the position of Malians before August 18th, 2020. Now that everyone has understood, let's join hands to rebuild our country.
tendons-nous la main pour reconstruire notre pays.
I know that it is a good saying. Yes, the Prime Minister, as he has problems now, he wants to bring everyone together while he was climate. I was not climate. At the beginning in Mali, there were two forces. There were those who said that elections must be held to bring back the old system, and the patriots who said no, we must hold the foundations, we must rebuild Mali.
Mais à l'étape où nous sommes,
But in the state we are in, this debate is behind us, but we must remain vigilant. Our intelligence services must remain vigilant. The agents, the foreign spies who have infiltrated our system, who are in the political movements, we must counter them.
pour le reste,
For the rest, we devour everyone's hand. We are not looking for a gift with someone. We are not looking to pray with someone. But the reality is that Mali is for all of us.
c'est pas parce que quelqu'un a soutenu
It is not because someone supported the old regimes that he is no longer Malian. The main thing is the dynamics of Mali will be able to. Any Malian who is in this dynamic today must be associated with the action of reconstruction of our country.
en restant vigilant.
To recent vigilance, and ladies and gentlemen, I would like to say that the AES today is the second homeland of all Malians.
L'AES aujourd'hui, c'est la deuxième patrie de tous les Maliens. Tout ce que nous faisons,
Everything we do must have branches in the AES.
des branches dans
Many
l'AES.
things are done there that are hidden from the
Beaucoup
M5.
de choses se font
You
là-dedans
saw
qui
in
sont
this same
cachées au
room a
M5.
few weeks ago, I saw people who gave us lessons that deceived the Malians here. You know who I'm talking about.
Qui ont trompé les Maliens ici. Vous connaissez de qui je parle.
Who didn't do it? These are people who changed parties 4 times. They are part of the 100 parties where we gave receipts, coming to delegitimize the M5, delegitimize the heroic struggle of the Malian people.
Héroïque du peuple malien. Nous ne l'accepterons pas.
We will not accept it.
C'est pourquoi je vous dis de rester vigilants.
That is why I am telling you to be vigilant, support the AES, and broadcast to the people. The meetings of presidents and ministers must have ramifications among the people.
Dans le peuple. C'est ça que je voulais vous dire, mesdames et messieurs.
That is what I wanted to tell you, ladies and gentlemen.
Nous avons parlé
So
de
we
Kidal.
talked about Kidal. I clarified in part what I mean. If you come out there, you must clarify your positions.
Il faut clarifier vos positions. Tous ceux qui sortent d'ici. La deuxième chose.
All those who come out of here.
Je vous ai dit
The
comment
second
je vois
thing,
l'avenir.
the third, God told you how I see the future. Mali is above all of us.
Tous les jeux
All the
politiques
old
doivent
politicians that must have here must keep in mind that our army,
que notre armée, l'Afrique,
in Africa, the Malians who look at us, the M5 and the representatives of the army, we must not disappoint them.
nous ne devons pas les décevoir.
We must work for history and not for political combinations. And nothing political is done that we do not understand each other.
Rien de politique ne se fait que nous ne nous comprenons.
Only on certain things, as I told you, we close our eyes, we wait to preserve the essential.
On patiente pour préserver l'essentiel. Et aujourd'hui,
And today our army must have been
notre
proud
armée
of you.
aujourd'hui en
It
Afrique,
needs your
elle a
support.
besoin de votre soutien. Vous avez vu ces derniers moments.
You have seen these last moments, because of some battles that it lost, in a war. That's how we lose battles. We will win the war. There are old corpses that have risen, political corpses that were missing since we took Kidal, who came out today to say that in Mali, nothing has been
Depuis que nous
done.
avons pris Kidal, qui sont sortis aujourd'hui pour dire qu'au Mali rien n'a été fait. Depuis la chute de l'ancien
Since the
régime.
fall of the old regime, but not if it takes advantage of the confusion. That is why we want to clarify. And my message, I end with this. It is necessary that all those who are committed to change stand up and understand each other, whether they come from the armed security forces or political movements. Mali will never back down. Mali may have succeeded and Mali will succeed. Thank you very much.